So, D, I'm gonna open up with this, man. I think the NFL is a great business, right? Some organizations really know how to take advantage of bad organizations. And the Eagles taking advantage of a stupid mistake by the Giants, letting Saquon walk, just might have the Eagles in the Super Bowl this year. But before we talk about the second best team in the NFC, let's talk about the first best team in the NFC. The Detroit Lions beat the Colts yesterday, 24-6. Jared Goff went 26 for 39, 269 yards. Jahmyr Gibbs, 21 carries, 90 yards, two touchdowns. D, what was your biggest takeaway from yesterday?
If anything, I love the defense.
Yeah,
Two straight games, no touchdowns.
yeah.
What Aaron Glenn, I think was it since the second half of Green Bay or something, there's been no touchdowns.
We're
But
we're on the same mind track here because that was my biggest takeaway from yesterday too, was Detroit's defense. Like, didn't it feel like at a certain point, and by the way, we're undefeated on the road this year too. Didn't it
yeah,
feel like Detroit almost took the life out of Indianapolis in yesterday's game?
something.
Like Anthony
Something.
Richardson went 11 for 28. They put up no, he had one big throw. You know, he's known for his arm. He had one big throw down the sideline in the first half.
Yeah. Well, yeah, well, they were trying to, so what they were trying to do was they were trying to test out our backup that was stepping in for Terry and Arnold, which
Yeah.
mind you, we're talking about a defense that is now short. Terry and Arnold, Alex Anzalone, and
Hutch
my, yeah,
and
Hut,
Barnes.
Hut and Barnes.
And not to mention
And
Carlton Davis walked out the game yesterday.
you
It
know
was
what I'm
the second
saying?
half, but
But not to mention we didn't leave man, you
yeah,
know.
yeah,
I'm just saying, like, even in the backup, you're gonna have to get burnt.
yeah.
You're gonna have to get burnt. So, or you're gonna make a play,
And you know
which
what's
I hope
special?
people saw when the backup was in. That's why we have Terry and Arnold starting.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, like no disrespect to him, you know what I'm saying, but like y'all talk about him being handsy, but he be there.
yeah,
You
yeah,
hate when
yeah,
the camera cuts over to where the pass is going, and all you see is your guy. He's reaching. He ain't
yeah.
there.
Facts, 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 facts. And isn't it special too? Our defense plays right into our offense because our defense allows teams to not get into a rhythm. Like that's the biggest thing I noticed yesterday in watching Indianapolis. They never got into a rhythm. Three and
Yeah.
outs, like quick three and outs. Our offense held the ball for close to 40 minutes. Like
Mhm.
our defense played right into our offense, man. I thought it was a spectacular showing. And again, undefeated on the road. And I don't think Indianapolis, tell me what you think. I don't look at Indianapolis as a horrible team.
No, I don't. But I look at them like I look at the Texans. They're about a year or two off.
Yeah.
They're about a year or two off, and because I know you saw the Texans lost to the Titans,
Yeah. But it's in their
but
division.
I don't care.
Yeah. Yeah. I
I
do
don't.
feel you.
I don't let I get division games are played tougher, but that just tells me that you guys like choose to only go 80% other games.
As I
But
transition to the next point, I do want to give you props. You were 100% dead right about the Texans since week three. Jaguars, Texans. I mean, I think this goes without saying. Texans on three, 1, 2, 3, Texans.
Texans, yeah. Listen, if this game is close, that only tells me that the Texans are not okay. I think I'm actually good at this. I really do. I think Chicago is bad. You barely got out of there. Anthony Richardson put up more points than you.
I think they were 3-0 at the time. Like they hadn't lost yet. And you were like, I don't trust what I'm seeing out of CJ Stroud, D'Amico Ryans. Their defense looks subpar. Their offensive line isn't good. CJ is scrambling. He doesn't
You know
look
what I
like,
mean?
yeah.
And they're going to make the playoffs as the division leader.
Let's be honest, as adults, knowing what to give friends and loved ones for birthdays, holidays, and special occasions can be a hassle. Sometimes giving just a card and cash can come across as lazy. LewieCards remove that stigma and takes the hassle of gift giving right off your hands, allowing your gift to be the card. With different options and your ability to customize the card to your liking, you can now give someone a unique card, a premium card, the one and only card that is in and of itself the gift that keeps on giving, a gift that combines cash and a card. LewieCards, the premier card of gift giving. Get yours today at LewieCards.com. As I was watching the Eagles, man, I thought about it in the NFC. I'm like, if you blindfolded people and told them they have their coach is a little bit more of a motivational coach. They need good coordinators around him to make the offense and defense really work. He's a bit, he lacks some situational awareness. Their quarterback is good, great when he's playing exceptional, and he's been playing exceptional, and he has a good O-line, second in the league. Their running back is operating at MVP levels. They have two good wide receivers, and their defense is also top five in the league. Most people might think you're talking about the Detroit Lions, but that's actually the Eagles. Today, I kind of want to ask you this question, man. Are the Eagles the Lions' kryptonite?
Kryptonite's a big word.
Yeah.
I think if anybody was a kryptonite, it would have been the Seahawks, and we handled that.
Here's what worries
Ultimately,
me about the Eagles. It seems like everything that we lead in, they're right behind us on, and everything we're right behind the Eagles on, they lead in. Their
I'm
defense,
still, but I'm gonna get to my main point. I'm gonna say why I'm not worried.
go ahead, go
Because
ahead.
at the end of the day, it's about matchups. I don't think they're going to be able to capitalize in the red zone in the way that they have against other teams.
Hmm.
The Eagles have
Okay, I
religiously
see.
been beating up on weaker teams this season.
I
It
see.
just so happened that their division ended up being weaker than we thought, right? They're the only good team in it.
And with the Eagles, it being a one and done, because obviously we wouldn't see them until the playoffs. I wouldn't consider the Eagles a kryptonite. I wouldn't call them the
No, I don't think no
kryptonite.
one
What
is.
I
I
would
said on
say
our
though, what I would say though is the Eagles are almost an identical copy of what we do. And that's what concerns me about the Eagles a little bit. That's what concerns me about the Eagles. Jalen Hurts this year, he's not turning the ball over. 13 touchdowns with 5 interceptions. He's not putting the ball in harm's way like it was before. Now with Saquon, he can turn it off. Saquon's closing these games out for the Eagles. 1,300 yards on the season. And come on, we still got a lot of games left. He's on pace to break a couple records. MVP conversation.
how many TDs he
Decent
got?
tight end. I believe he
How many
has 10.
TDs he
I
got?
believe he has 10. And that's
Yeah.
only because,
How many TDs we got
but again, so getting
in the
back to the point,
backfield?
but getting back to the point though, good tight end, good wide receivers out there. Defense top in the league. Their offensive line second best in the league. Only behind, guess who? Us. I think what concerns me about the Eagles is the race for number one. I believe the NFC Championship game, let's play it out. Let's say the Eagles and Lions are both there. I think it just might come down to who has home field advantage.
Well,
That's
you're
how
in
close
Detroit.
I think the
You're
Eagles
in
are.
Detroit. Then you're
That's
in
how
Detroit.
close I think the Eagles are to us. Before Sunday night's game, I would have said, okay, yes, if they go up against a team with a high-powered offense, a good offense, their defense does struggle. Even with that being said, I still would have said, there's a little bit of similarity on our offenses, but I didn't look at the defenses like that. After yesterday's game and the demolishing they did in LA, it was, as I explained earlier about how the Lions did the Colts, it was almost similar. I feel like I was watching the Eagles do that to the Rams, where you just took the oxygen and life out of a team slowly but surely. And by the end of the game, it wasn't close. Saquon leaned on. I mean, I think he had 260 plus yard runs in that game yesterday.
70+ yard.
People don't
Yes.
look at the Rams defense as terrible, and people definitely don't look at the Rams offense as terrible. Now, in saying that, that's where I'm giving respect to the Eagles. Am I worried? Am I concerned? Of course not. Do I trust our team? Absolutely. Do I trust our dominance? The thing I was thinking about even as after we beat the Colts was like, man, I mean, line up any other team, especially on the AFC, all these guys over the Chiefs, Steelers, the Bills, the Chargers, maybe the Ravens. I'm like, we might blow them out the Super Bowl just because of how
This
we
is the
play in our play
thing.
style.
The Eagles aren't dominant, man. They not. They not, bro. I
Saquon
remember.
is having an
Look,
MVP
they
season.
got the
Jalen Hurts
Eagles
has
have two
23
L's,
over
right?
2,300 yards. And mind you, I do want to say this too. They're on a 7 game win streak right now. So
Yeah,
with the
we're on the
2 L's, they're
9,
on a 7 game win streak.
and we're on the 9.
And that's
They're on the
why
win
I'm
streak ever
saying,
since AJ Brown came back. You know where those two L's came from? They didn't have AJ Brown out there, but everybody's talking about Saquon.
yeah,
But
but if
look,
you
I
take
know all I'm
you
saying
take
is,
Amon Ra out the game, I'm just
all
saying,
I'm,
give
huh?
respect where respect is due. If you take anybody's top wide receiver out the game, it may limit or stall
Yeah,
the
I've seen us win
offense.
games with Amon Ra with barely touching the ball. If you really watch them, they're not that dominant, man. They're the same guy. They're the same guys that were like what 10-0 last year, 11-0, and then couldn't win another game after that. And they're the same guys because now what it really comes down to who has the better coach, who has the better coaching staff. If you're saying the Eagles are also we're here, we're there, they're here, we're here, and all the other
I mean,
things,
it's
everything's on
identical.
par, right? Everything's on par. We
It's
both have a Super
identical.
Bowl quarterback. We both have elite running backs. Both have elite receivers,
Well,
tight end, O
Sirianni's
line,
been to the
D
Super
line.
Bowl, right?
I do see the similarities, but
Or did,
I
well, no.
believe.
Let me answer your
Hold
question.
on.
Let
I
me answer the
believe.
question. You asked the question. Let me answer. Sirianni's been to the Super Bowl. Dan Campbell hasn't. I'm not knocking Dan Campbell. Don't even look at it that way, Lions fans. Don't get on me. But what I am saying is they're both very similar. They're
Are you
motivators.
sure Dan Campbell
Guess
hasn't?
what?
He's been a coach before the
As a
Lions.
coach,
I'm not. I'm not sure
either
where he
way,
was
look,
at.
either way, Sirianni, Dan Campbell, they're both motivators. Rather one's been or one hasn't been, or rather they've both been, they're both motivators. Dominate. Their teams are led by their coordinators. Their schemes are came up with by their coordinators, right? So you look at Vic Fangio, come on, Kellen Moore, come on, and then you look at Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn. Now, of course, offensive wise, offensively speaking, and again, when you look at the coordinators, that's why I said it's very, very similar. Guys, I'm a perfectionist, and I personally believe in one of the things you should always care the most about is what you put into your body, which is why when I need a midday boost, I don't drink any energy drink. I drink excess energy drink. Why? Because there's nothing like a clean vitamin B12 energy boost in the middle of the day with zero sugar. You want to know why? Because when you take away the sugar, you get zero crash, which means you can keep winning all day. So, guys, crack the seal on one of their many flavors and keep winning. Lions versus the Bears. I just wanted to get your thoughts on it. Who you had winning? I mean, I think I already know,
The
but
Lions.
I did have a divisional loss in our schedule. I don't
Me
know who
too.
it'll come
Vikings.
down to. You think it'd be Vikings? I'm not
It
sure
has
who
to
it'll come
be. It
down to.
has to be. I told you why. If you beat
Ah,
them twice, you're going to the playoffs. Now you got to beat them
yeah,
a third time.
yeah. I don't know, man. I think let's just talk about the NFC North for a second
I don't
against
care if
these
it's the
last six
Vikings and the
games.
Packers. I'll take one, and that'd be it for the rest of the year because we're beating Buffalo and we're
The
beating the. I can't wait to what we do to the 49ers.
the the Vikings just beat the Bears yesterday in a close one overtime. I don't really think the game should have gone overtime, but Caleb actually showed out. He showed why he was the number one pick. Great man.
He's going to be good. They
Yeah,
need a better coach.
he's forming out. Yeah, Matt Eberflus has to go. However, the Vikings did beat them. The Vikings are now 9-2. Packers beat the 49ers. I mean, ransacked the 49ers, 38-10. Now they're 8-3. I don't think people realize like NFC North, we're gonna have three teams, a likelihood of three teams in the playoffs. And two of them are gonna be wild card teams, but they're gonna be
Three
10,
teams
11,
with
12 win
the
wild card teams.
three teams with the best chance to win the whole thing. All I'm saying is, if it's not the Lions, I believe the Super Bowl is going to come out of the NFC North. That's just what I believe.
Yeah, you think so?
Like the only teams I fret in the playoffs this year is our own division teams.
Yeah. And I think that's because they're division games though. And that's
But
where I
it's like a
feel
double. It's division playoff, and they know you. You know what I'm saying? And we have late season games versus those guys. So it's like it'd be like, man, I just played you 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago.
it sounds crazier than what it is, but in looking at the division teams who will come out, obviously the Cardinals or the Seahawks, maybe the Rams or 49ers, if they can get it together and
Cardinals
those two
looking
teams,
iffy. That whole division looking crazy.
it's going to come down to the division leader for them to be in. So it'll be one of those teams will be in. Obviously, it looks like Atlanta will probably be in. Obviously, us, Packers,
They pushing
Vikings,
it too.
and then also the Eagles and probably the Commanders, I want to say, unless I'm missing. Am I missing? I don't know if I'm missing the division. Am I missing the
Yeah.
division?
The division leader will be the Eagles. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So it'll be come down to
Eagles.
between those teams.
Yeah.
So when
Falcons.
the cards get drawn in the playoffs, I think the NFC has a chance to be one of the most exciting playoff bouts. I know the AFC will be the most intense with the teams that's over there, but I think the NFC probably be the most exciting, given the fact that when I thought about who could come first against who, I mean, I said Eagles. I mean, they pull the Vikings first or the Packers first. That could be a loss for either side. But if Atlanta pulls Green
That's a
Bay
loss for
first,
the Eagles. That's what I'm
but
saying.
if
Out the
Atlanta
gate.
pulls Green Bay for, I don't know. I just think it could be a very interesting. I mean, what if the Cardinals come in and then Kyler Murray just has a great game against the Packers or the Vikings? Like
You're
it
getting
could
first
be
round
a,
bye.
or the Seahawks. What if the Seahawks do it or the Rams pull it out? Like I don't know. I think it could be more interesting than what it is because you also got to keep in mind too. Some of the people on some of the Vikings games on the schedule hasn't been too crazy given the
Right.
fact that they weren't the best team last year. Now they have a good schedule. I'm not saying they don't. They do have a good schedule, but I'm not sure the way the NFC will play out and the NFC North's impact on this playoff picture.
Yeah.
Because some teams could just get a bad matchup. But that's where like I said before, in the Eagles talk. I don't know if the Eagles would make it past the Vikings. I think the Vikings would be a spectacular matchup for the Eagles, given the fact that Brian Flores is operating at a top five coordinator level in the schemes he's in the defensive scheme he's calling this year and how he's able to throw off teams, not to mention Sam Darnold, Justin Jefferson. That's a nightmare for any matchup that doesn't play them twice a year like we do, because we always hold Justin, I believe, to about under 100 yards or just around 100, given that we see them often. But I don't know, that could be a bad matchup for them. But I just
Yeah.
wanted to talk about that playoff picture and how the NFC North really is going to impact the playoffs. So that's
I
going to
mean,
be,
yeah, the way it's shaping out is savage. Because I believe it's going to be a lot of upsets. The Vikings and Packers are really good, man. Like, if you take away divisions, then you know what I'm saying, you wouldn't be able to play those teams because they'll be too high.
yeah,
That's too high of a team to have to run into round one. It's unfortunate for the Eagles or the Falcons because if I'm just going to be honest, I believe the Eagles and Falcons have to play the Vikings and Packers. It's then going to be the Vikings and Packers moving on, and that means that one of them is coming to Detroit. Like so. That's what I'm telling you, man. Like in my mind, what it's looking like is we're going to have two games to get to the Super Bowl, right?
yeah.
One's going to be versus the Vikings. One's going to be versus the Packers.
But
That's what it's looking like to
isn't
me.
that the interesting part though, as we wrap things up here with this final minute? Doesn't it feel like the Lions, assuming they don't have to play the Vikings, Packers, or the Eagles, probably would boat race the rest of the league? I'm including AFC teams now.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it looks like the
They
Super
would
Bowl,
do
if we were to
something
make the
bad to
Super
those
Bowl,
AFC guys. I cannot wait for this Buffalo game, man.
I
Like
feel
I
you.
am
I
like
feel you.
I cannot wait for this Buffalo game
I feel
because
you.
it's the pedestal everybody's putting Josh Allen on right now. That I just feel like the Lions are gonna. And plus, I got family in Buffalo too.
Yeah.
I just can't wait to see the Lions. Do what
Do
they
it.
do.
All right, man. I'll see you on the next one.
All right, bro.